All right, so with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Meaghan Patterson, who is the Executive Director of the Alberta Museums Association, and she is going to speak about the Museums for Me initiative.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me at your community chat this morning. I'm excited to talk about our project. So as mentioned, my name is Meaghan, and I'm the Executive Director of the Alberta Museums Association. And we are working with our partners across the country to conduct this Museums for Me project. So today I'd just like to get you a little bit of background as to how we came to this project, how it's evolved since COVID happened, and we've had to kind of shift a lot of things, where we're at in the process, and then moving forward. And I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you may have, either throughout or at the end. It's up to you. So the idea for this project came to be about 3 years ago as the AMA finished up our own strategic planning process. And one of the things that we realized as we consulted with our members, our funders, and our stakeholders was kind of this feeling that museums aren't necessarily the best advocates for what we do. We're not very good at talking about why we're important and convincing people that we are valued institutions that should be supported and funded, et cetera, et cetera. And so we got together and we started thinking, okay, well, how can we do that? How can we kind of unify ourselves as a sector in the similar way to, let's say, libraries have or the arts sector has, to speak with a voice that is really powerful and really addresses the value that we bring to community. So with that, I started speaking with my PTMA colleagues from across the country to see if there was any interest in expanding this project beyond the scope of Alberta. It became very clear very quickly that this would be relevant outside of Alberta and could be useful to the other provinces and territories as well. And so we did create partnerships with 12 of the provincial territorial museum associations, as well as the CMA. So we are all now working together. And the project, as it was formed, essentially is a public rebranding of the sector, if you will, that will result in some advocacy tools for museum associations and museum professionals and institutions to use themselves. So we were really pleased to secure federal funding for this project. So this project is being funded through the Department of Canadian Heritage's Canadian Cultural Investment Fund over the course of 3 years. So it is a 3-year project. The pieces that you may have seen to date, the Museums for Me consultation, is essentially phase 1 of our project, or the public facing phase 1 of the project. So we've spent the last 6 months essentially doing some intensive data gathering, literature reviews, looking at the existing information that we have around Canadians and their opinions on museums. So we went back to the 70s when they did the say Canadians and then public museums. Oh no, now I forget the study. Anywho, they conducted it in 1973 after the implementation of the new Canadian museum policy. And they actually knocked on the doors of 7,500 Canadians and asked them if they liked museums and why they liked them and how often they go. And so we took a deep dive into that data and compared it to more modern current data around visitation and all of those things. And so we've got a good basis for the economic value and the visitation and all of those things around museums, but still not a whole lot about why museums are important or not to people. And so that's what the Museums for Me consultation is about. And that's the stage that we're in now. So the consultation itself has 3 parts. So there is an online survey that is being distributed across Canada. Currently, it launched just after Thanksgiving, and it is open until December 18th, till the end of next week. And our goal is to get approximately 6,000 responses to that survey. And we are really hoping for, museum professionals and museum goers to complete the survey, but we're also really looking to tap into those individuals who may not be frequent museum goers or may not be involved in museum culture heritage sector at all, to see what they have to say. We are also doing some deep dive dialogue sessions we're holding those this week and last, in fact. We did 2 yesterday. And that's where we're having about 2-hour conversations about what does the museum of the future look like and how do we get there? So in order to be valued by community and to bring value to community, what does a museum have to look like? What does it offer? How does it have to change in order to get there? So those are the kinds of really fascinating conversations that we've been having this week and last. There is one session left, and that's being held tomorrow. It is our French session. So if any of you are French speaking and would like to attend that session tomorrow, the information is still available online to register. Unfortunately, our English and bilingual sessions have been completed already. And then the third part of the public-facing consultation is really a pan-Canadian research panel where we'll be, this is where we're going to get a broad spectrum of Canadians and their opinions on museums, and this will tap into those that may not ever go to a museum or may not think that they are a valuable public institution whatsoever. And so that will happen in the early new year. And I believe that panel will reach about 40,000 Canadians. It's a pretty broad spectrum of Canadians. And so we'll be taking all of the literature review and the research that we've done, as well as all of the information we've gained over essentially a 4 or 5 month consultation period, and creating a report about what we heard, about why museums are important, where they are succeeding, where they are falling short, and how they need to change in order to move forward. And that will wrap up what we've branded as Museums for Me and the end of phase 1. Now phases 2 and 3 for us is going back to the consortium, so the AMA with our provincial and territorial partners, really digesting that information, creating a set of tools and web resources, like I said earlier, that can be used by all of the associations and museums across the country to essentially rebrand themselves, like I said, in the public sphere, use them for advocacy and to garner public and private support and all of those things going forward. So the tools themselves will be piloted in Alberta at a variety of sites under the, I guess, kind of mentorship of some AMA staff. And we will be soliciting really diverse sets of sites. So very large institutions, municipally run institutions, Indigenous cultural centers, rural volunteer run museums, to make sure that the tools that we are providing will be of value to museums of all types and sizes, knowing that we've got quite the variety across the country. Once those sites pilot the tools, we'll take their feedback, we'll iterate, change, update as necessary, and then we will be kind of spreading it out across the country, essentially. And our hope is that with all of the different museums associations on board, we can tap into our large networks of members and do kind of a peer training kind of situation, if you will, where we have some early adopters who utilize the tools, find successes, make tweaks to whatever's necessary, and then you know, that kind of spread amongst each other. So that everyone can kind of adopt the tools as they work for themselves and their sites. And also we have that kind of peer mentorship that can happen within the sector, knowing that all of the associations, we're not really flush in resources and staff at the moment. You know, we're all quite busy doing lots of other things as well. So making sure that we can get the members working together and on board will be critical for this. As I mentioned, you know, the pandemic has brought to light several issues that we are now considering within the project itself, as well as some delivery changes, obviously. So all our consultations were supposed to happen in person from coast to coast to coast, hosted at a variety of our member sites, and really get people together to have these conversations. Clearly that's not happening now. All of our consultations are on Zoom, just like this conversation is today. And you know, we're making the best of that situation as much as we can. Honestly, it may have increased accessibility because we've got different time slots that people can choose from. They don't need to travel or necessarily take as much time off in their day to participate, specifically for those that are coming from outside the sector. We have had several people who are not museum folks participating in these conversations, who are taking time away from their other employment or personal life obligations and things like that. But we're also looking at, you know, as everyone is well aware, some of the social issues that have been really brought to the forefront over the last couple of months that maybe had been percolating under the surface around, you know, inequity and Black Lives Matter and, you know, kind of the state of cultural institutions in Canada and issues of climate and all of those things, while they were always a factor, obviously, in the work that we're doing and how museums bring value to community or are valued by community. Obviously, I think that that has kind of been increased over the last couple of months and brought to the forefront and is really informing some of those discussions. So essentially, the goal of the project, I mean, in a way, it's about giving museums tools that will help them increase visitation. I think that, you know, if we can speak as a unified voice, that is an outcome that we will see, is that as people value museums and feel that they're inclusive spaces, visitation will increase. But ultimately, we really wanted to get people together who are outside of our normal circles to really talk about what the museum as a cultural institution, a public institution is, and how it can contribute to Canadian society now and in the future going forward. And so that's really the crux of the conversations that we've been having. Yeah, so that's essentially the gist of the project as it stands. Like I said, we are just wrapping up the in-depth dialogue sessions. And if there are any Francophones on the call, please do join us. Or if you know anyone who's a Francophone, if they'd like to sign up tomorrow, that would be great. The survey is still open, like I said, to the end of next week. And so if you want to complete it or spread it amongst your networks, send it to some unsuspecting friends that you may have that might not see it otherwise. And then we'll be involving the Museums Association of Saskatchewan, obviously, as we move forward in the new year and we get all of our results that we can distribute amongst our peers.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Meaghan. It's super interesting to hear, and we'll definitely do a final push on the survey for sure. We've been sending it out to everybody, but we'll try and get a few more responses in there for the initiative as well. For a moment here, I'll open it up. I haven't seen anything come through yet, but does anybody have any questions for Meaghan about the Museums for Me at all before we move on to Dan's presentation at all? Just feel free to pop it in the chat there. Okay, not seeing anything at the moment here, not seeing any hands or anything. So I think, yeah, thanks again for joining us and talking about it. And it'll be really interesting to see the results and how we can move things forward with it. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And if anyone does have questions that they come up with later, they can feel free to send me an email or go to the website, themuseumsforme.ca, and all the contact info is there. And otherwise, thanks for having me this morning, and I'll likely pop off and let you continue with your chat.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Bye. So with that, then I'm going to pass it over to Dan, our program director, Dan, and he is going to talk about our new access catalog for our resource library. And I am going to assist Dan with some slides. So I'll let Dan take it from here, and I'm going to get all the slides ready for a presentation.
Thanks, Sam. So for any of you who don't know me, my name's Dan. I am the program director at the Museums Association. I've been with the association now for coming up on 10 years, which is a little bit of a terrifying milestone, to be honest. But and in the last few years, I have also taken on responsibility for the resource library at MAS, which has a lot of great resources in it, but isn't used as much as we would like. So we were thinking that maybe one obstacle to people using it was that the catalog has been a bit tricky to search. So this new system will hopefully make that easier and allow you to sort of see what's in the collection more easily if you don't already have an idea of what you're after. You can browse it sort of in useful ways. And today I'll sort of walk you through the process of how it's going to work, getting an account, the basic search and browsing functions, and how to check out a book.
Okay. Next slide, I'm assuming.
Yeah, next slide,
Okay.
please.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so the software we're using is called TinyCAT. And it, like I said, it provides better search and browse functions. You'll be able to actually check items out just by clicking a button on the on the record for each item. And then we'll send it out to you and you'll be able to check it out. And the URL for it is given there, but there's also a link to it on our website under the resource library part. But if you want to go straight there, that's the link, librarycat.org/lib/museassoc. One of the troubles with having a lengthy name is finding abbreviations for it. MAS was already taken. So first off, how do you get a library account? Now, this is one of the very few drawbacks of the system, is that you will need a separate library ID. And there's two ways to get that. There is a request form on our website at the URL that's given there, and there's a picture of it, and you just enter your name and some information so we know where to send the books, how to contact you, that kind of thing. I should note too that you can have a personal library record even if you don't have a personal membership, as long as you're associated with a member museum. We like to keep track of the specific person who has the book. You can borrow it through your museum if you prefer to do it that way, but it's easier for us to get it to you and to contact you if we need to, that kind of thing, if you have a personal library account. So you can definitely do that. So you'll have to use the resource library request form to request an account, or you can just email me at programs@saskmuseums.org, and then I can help you set up an account. So that's all fairly straightforward. We have a brief video now that'll give you an overview on how to search through the resource catalog.
Just getting that queued up here.
Thanks, Em.
Okay.
Do we not have sound?
Oh,
Sorry.
shoot. Sorry. I thought there was just a second. Let me restart that. Sorry about that. Jeez, sorry people. There, we should be good to go now. Okay. And I will restart that. Okay. Okay, does that look like you can see the video there, Dan?
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, okay, awesome. And I will just...
Running a basic search with TinyCAT is easy. Just enter any search term or add text to search for a specific data field, such as by tag, subject, or date to hone your search. You can sort your search results by relevancy, acquisition, title, publication date, author, or popularity. And don't forget that you can use your TinyCAT's search filters to target your search even further. Learn more about TinyCAT at librarycat.org and stay tuned for more tutorials on Library Things YouTube channel. Running a basic search with TinyCAT.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yes.
no problem.
So that gives you a basic overview of the search functions. It's really very straightforward. You can search by topic, by, as I said, author, title, publication date, and by default it'll check all of those fields for you if you enter something in the search box. So that should make it a lot easier to find materials. And as the video noted at the end, there are also other tutorials up. We'll do one more quick one. This one is on browsing the collection. So if you don't know ahead of time what you're looking for exactly, there's still some useful functions that'll allow you to find interesting resources.
Mhm. Okay.
TinyCAT's detail pages offer many ways to explore works of interest by linking fields within TinyCAT, such as tags, subject data, awards, and top recommendations while you browse. Just click any blue text to view the matching records for your selection and find all you'd ever want for your next great read. Learn more about TinyCAT at librarycat.org and stay tuned for more tutorials on Library Things YouTube channel.
Great. So again, you can just, once you're in a record for an item, you can click on any number of specific fields, the subject, author, that kind of thing, and it'll bring up related works that are related based on that type of thing. So if you click on a particular subject, it'll bring up other resources that are also about that same subject. So it's a really much easier way to browse the collection than our current system, which basically lets you search by title. So if you don't already know what you want, it can be a little tricky to find what you need. So we'll quickly run through how it works when you go to borrow an item. First, you'll need to log in using that ID that I talked about earlier that you can request from me, or using the website. So you'll click on the little icon in the upper right corner that looks like kind of a stylized person. And once you do that, we can get the next slide. It'll take you to this login page. So you'll enter your patron ID and a password, which is what you'll be assigned when you do that form on the website. Then you can click sign in. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Then you'll enter whatever search term you want to find an item. Click that little magnifying glass search button, and it'll take you to a results page that has items that match your search. And then all you have to do is click the place hold button, and that will reserve the item for you, and then we will find it in the collection and send it out to you, and it's that easy. So the terms of the loans haven't changed. You get the items for a month, but you can renew them longer if you like. We will ship them to you for free. You'll need to cover shipping back to us. And then once the pandemic restrictions are lifted, you can just come in and browse a collection at the office and pick up or drop off items that way as well. And if you're in the city, we may be able to arrange pickup for you. So just let me know. Maybe shoot me an email that you'd like to do that, and we can figure something out. So I'll just open it up for questions now. If you have questions after the presentation, you can send them to me by email at programs@saskmuseums.org. But in the meantime, while I'm here, if you have any questions right now, I'll be happy to answer those.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. I had a chance to kind of look, well, I had a chance to look through the presentation, and I haven't quite signed up for my own library account yet, but I know I will be doing that because when we were in the office, we have it's a pretty extensive collection. It takes up one whole giant wall in our office, and there are a lot of really interesting resources in there for museums and nonprofits in general. So definitely, if you have a chance to sign up for a new TinyCAT library catalog account, do so, because you'll be able to see a lot more of what we have to offer.
Yeah. And I should say also that we do have, over 1,000 items, and a lot of them are very specific museum resources that are really hard to find otherwise. So if you have access to a university with interlibrary loans, you may be able to get a hold of them, but otherwise, a lot of them aren't available anywhere else in the province. So please do feel free to check them out.
Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking too of maybe mentioning, Dan, was that if you come across something that you think would make a good addition to the library, you can suggest it to Dan. And maybe we can acquire it. So
absolutely, we're always looking for new resources to grab. And if I know that folks are interested in particular topics, then I'm not guessing what resources you might like. So it's definitely a big help to me if you do make recommendations for the library acquisition.
awesome. Well, I am not seeing anything coming up for questions, which I suppose is a good thing. But yeah, please, if you get signing up for an account and you do end up with questions as you go through, don't hesitate to reach out to Dan at all. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to help you. But with that, I think we'll probably wrap it up. Oh, I do have a question here.
Yeah, I've got one question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go for it.
Dan, did you guys have to go through and catalog the books that weren't in TinyCAT's collection?
No, it's our collection. So we just we had a volunteer as well as our office staff who entered the information. Some of it is searchable online and you can just add it, but other stuff because it's relatively obscure, had to be manually entered. So,
yeah. So it's fairly time consuming for you guys.
Well, it was to set up, but now that it's set up, we'll just be adding one record at a time as we acquire new items. Yeah.
Cool, good.
And we did have a question on the chat. Is a list available of the entire collection?
Well, the entire collection is on that searchable online catalog. So that's probably the most convenient way to do it. We have a list internally, kind of, that we can use, but it's not sort of easily shared. It's in a database that is awkward to kind of print out and stuff. So I think the online catalog is by far the easiest way to see what's available in the collection. And with those browsing functions and stuff, you can easily, search by topic or that kind of thing. Or it also sort of has a scrolling pictures of covers, so you can even just sort of watch those go by and see if something grabs you too.
Awesome. All right. I'll kind of put a last call out for questions. All right. Well, yeah, like I said at the beginning of the chat, this is our last chat of 2020. And so, just take a moment. I'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday season and stay safe and enjoy your time how you can safely. And thanks for joining us. I know a lot of people on the chat here have been joining us pretty faithfully over the course of since we initiated these chats in the spring, and we really appreciate you taking the time to come hang out with us on Wednesday mornings. It's nice to be able to have a bit of a sense of a community, even though we can't be physically together. So yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and yeah, see everybody in 2021. Bye.